I hope everyone is having a great day today. Welcome to my channel. Let's talk about it. Some breaking news coming out of the NBA world and the sports world in general. The new head coach for the Brooklyn Nets will be Steve Nash, former NBA All-Star and Hall of Famer. And guys, this is surprising, not just for the sports world, but for myself included. I didn't see it coming. I don't think anybody did. Steve Nash was not even a name that was even thought of to become a head coach in general, maybe an assistant coach. So the past 5 seasons, the past 5 years, Steve Nash has been with the Golden State Warriors as a player development consultant. So he's done a great job there, but to become the head coach for the Brooklyn Nets, which is a team that next year is going to get Kevin Durant back from injury, and you have Kyrie Irving, he was injured this year too, only played about 20 games, but to have those two within the nucleus, superstar players with Steve Nash, that's going to be a hell of a ride, a hell of a team, and they're going to do phenomenal together. But my issue is not that them gelling. It's really to say that, hey, to give you guys an overview, Steve Nash has never been a head coach. He hasn't even been an assistant. Again, he was with Golden State for the past 5 years, but that doesn't give you that kind of clout to become the head coach for this type of team, which we know is going to be, it's a championship contender for next season. But again, Sean Marks, general manager Sean Marks, and the owner Joe Tsai, they have that relationship with Steve Nash, and they did pressure and pursue Steve Nash and say, hey, we want to, I want you to try out coaching. And my thing is, to try out coaching, this is not a thing you just try out to do. You want to get someone established in the NBA that has some coaching experience, not just some, really a lot, because again, you have Kevin Durant as your superstar player and Kyrie Irving. You want somebody that has, that experience, has that respect around the league coaching, because we know Steve Nash has the respect from his peers, from coaches, because he was, an 8-time All-Star and a back-to-back league MVP with the Phoenix Suns in 2005 and 2006. So we know he has that clout. We know that. But my issue with making this video was not his status as an NBA player and just as a global figure. It was more to say, hey, where did this come from? It reminds me a lot of when Steve Kerr was hired to become the Golden State Warriors head coach, because he came out of nowhere. Yeah, he was a GM with the Phoenix Suns, but to become the head coach of that team and get Mark Jackson out of there, it just showed a lot of discrepancies, to say the least. And Stephen A. Smith, he did come out on Thursday and did mention that, hey, I want to give Steve Nash props. Congratulations on being the next head coach and a new hire for the Nets. But his thing was white privilege, and I know he's getting a lot of backlash and some praises as well too. So I kind of agree with Stephen A. when it comes to that, because you had candidates such as Sam Cassell and Tyronn Lue that have great experience, and with Tyronn Lue, he's won a championship with Cleveland, with LeBron James. So they were considered, but they were passed up for Steve Nash that has no experience. And what Stephen A. Smith was saying, that say, hey, if this was a black, say former player, he wouldn't have got this type of opportunity to become the head coach. So he felt it was white privilege. I kind of agree with that some form of way too, because and again, he mentioned that as a black coach, we have to work twice as harder just to kind of get on the same level as, say, a white coach. So there's truth in that, and I think many people believe that too. But to give you guys a little bit more background on Steve Nash, again, 8-time All-Star. He played 18 seasons in the NBA. He did retire in 2014 due to medical concerns, and he was in the draft class, which I feel and I believe, which was the greatest of all time, the 1996 NBA draft. That was with Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Kobe Bryant, Stephon Marbury to lead the way, and Steve Nash was a part of that and a part of history. So, wow, I mean, and then too, general manager Sean Marks, he did come out, and I'm gonna quote Sean Marks in a statement. He said, "In Steve, we see a leader, a communicator and mentor who will garner the respect of our players. So that just tells me, and that is true, but you're trying to tell me a Tyronn Lue can't garner the same respect, and he's not a leader or a mentor to the players. I think a lot of people just around the league respect Tyronn Lue. I think he's a hell of a coach. Again, but when LeBron James leaves, Cleveland Cavaliers, I mean, there's not much you can do with that team. I mean, Kevin Love, he was on the decline. Kyrie Irving, he left, to go to Boston. So there's not much you can really do to be that championship contender. But I think he's a great coach, and he's proven himself. But again, Steve Nash has not done that. I didn't like the hire personally, and I want to know what you guys are thinking in the comment section. Do you believe that Steve Nash should have had the opportunity to coach the Brooklyn Nets, which we all know next season they're going to be a championship contender if both players, and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, stay healthy, right? So again, I don't like it at all. I think again, Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer, one of the best point guards to ever play the game, especially that I've seen, especially when he played in the run and gun offense with the Phoenix Suns for his years with former head coach for the Phoenix Suns, Mike D'Antoni. That offense was, astonishing, having Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash, run up and down the floor, and him just facilitate and make plays, make things happen. And he led the league to Nash five seasons in assists. So we all know what he can do on the floor. Now we want to see what he can do on the sidelines, on the floor with the Brooklyn Nets. I want to see what he can do with that. But again, when you have these two players, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, how much mistakes can you make? I mean, but, and the last thing I want to touch on too with Jacques Vaughn, he was the interim head coach for the Nets. He did lead them to the 7th seed. I know it's not great, but again, no Kevin Durant. Kyrie was damn near injured the whole season, but he led this team to the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, and they did lose in the first round. So, but the good thing I did like what Nash decided to do is to keep Jacques Vaughn as his lead assistant on the team. And if he didn't do that, I think Nash would have got a lot of backlash for that, to say, hey, you coming on in and you just cleaning house. But you don't clean house with a guy like Jacques Vaughn. That I think he's a good coach. I definitely think if they decided to keep him for 2 years, I wouldn't have been mad at that. But I know they're looking for a big splash. You're in Brooklyn, you're close to the Mecca, and you're competing with the New York Knicks, not in talent-wise, but just trying to get the keys to the city and take over. And another thing with Steve Nash, he does have that relationship with the Knicks in some form of way with his godson, future superstar guard RJ Barrett. That is his godson, so there's a connection right there as well too. So I thought that was pretty cool. But again, he has no experience. I don't think he should have got a shot to be the head coach for the Brooklyn Nets. But we'll see what he can do with Kyrie Irving, because we know Kyrie Irving is a scoring guard, and with Steve Nash, he's a visionary. He can see the court. The vision is astonishing, and hopefully he can help Kyrie Irving get to that next level, not as a scorer, but as a facilitator, and kind of make everything happen and make those guys gel very well. And so I guys, I'm in shock. I'm in shock when I heard the news on Thursday that he was the new head coach for the Brooklyn Nets. It threw me off. I was excited because I'm like, oh wow, Steve Nash. But then I was disappointed, what happened with the other coaches? And one last thing, because I said it was another one last thing, but I can see now when it comes to organizations what they're probably going to do to shake things up. They're going to just get fresh blood. So new fresh blood. What I mean by that is that in sports, we see a lot of times where a head coach would jump team to team. I'll give you a good example. Tom Thibodeau. He'll go from the Chicago Bulls, he'll go to Minnesota Timberwolves, then to the Knicks. So he's being recycle, replenish, and it's just like a cycle. So it's kind of like, you know, when you seen Jason Kidd go to the Milwaukee Bucks, it was like, oh wow, fresh new blood. No head coaching experience. He's a Bucks coach. You had again Steve Kerr, no head coaching experience. He's the Golden State Warriors head coach. So I think this could be a good thing too, to see new blood, to see new ideas, things like that, visions for the organization and the team. So I want to see how this goes. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Please like the video, share it, subscribe to my channel below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace and love.